Hi everyone, welcome or welcome back to my channel. I'm Em and welcome to my Anxious Girl weekend reading vlog. So I'm struggling in so many ways. I think my reading slump is actually like mild depression, which I go through waves with. Sometimes I'm okay and everything's great, and then other times it's not, and I think I'm slowly going into it's not territory. Everything in my life is wonderful and going well. The state of the world, though, is making it real hard to thrive, which I feel like we can all, or most of us, can relate to. Hopefully all who are watching this can relate to that. And I'm not expecting a weekend of reading to cure my depression, but maybe distract from it is what I am hoping for. I also gave myself a very minimal TBR this month, knowing that the mood reading is really going strong, but I do have a few things that I do need to read this month, and I haven't yet, and it's currently the 18th. So the goal this weekend is to focus on those books so I can feel like I am doing the things that I said I was committed to doing and have a little bit of accountability and not feel panicked that I'm not doing the things that I said I was going to do. It's currently Thursday, so this is kind of like an extended weekend reading vlog. I do work today and tomorrow, but at pretty minimal hours today. So I just thought I'd start a little early and give myself some extra time because I don't think I could actually finish anything in 2 days, but 4 days, yeah, it's possible. So let's talk about what I'm hoping to read this weekend, understanding that it could go rogue. I'm going to try really hard not to because, again, the books that I am going to tell you about are ones that I said in my TBR video I was going to read this month. And so, like, it's not that many books. I can do it. So let's start off with, let you know, my hold for the audiobook of Katabasis came in from the library yesterday, and I have started this. I'm not very far in, but I loved what I listened to last night, and I only have this on audio because I didn't buy it, which I kind of regret. I might rectify that this weekend, but for now, I'm listening to it on audio, and it is my sole audiobook. I don't have an audiobook for any of these other books. And then I have my Octavia E. Butler book for this month that I need to read. I have Wild Seed. I did kind of start this like a week ago, but to be honest, I remember nothing, and I only got 4 pages in, so we're gonna restart this because I do want to read this. It is sci-fi, and one of the TBR prop cards that I pulled for this month was to read a science fiction, so this will slot in for that. And then I want to read my 2 books that I pulled for my TBR jar for this month. That's a big truck. Oh boy. Another book that actually would work for the science fiction prompt is When the Moon Hits Your Eye by John Scalzi. This is, well, it was his most recent release, and then he had a book in a long running series of his come out last Tuesday, so it's no longer his most recent release, but his most recent standalone. So this is already out. It came out in March. I am really behind on reading my arcs, in case you couldn't tell. And I started this last night, and I'm already 92 pages in. I'm having a great time. This is really fun so far, so I'm feeling good about my choices right now. And then the other book I pulled from my TBR jar is Chloe Gong's next book that comes out, I think, in November, and it's like futuristic sci-fi or fantasy, maybe both. I don't know. Who knows? Anyways, I love Chloe Gong. She's one of my favorite authors, so I'm really excited to read this. I'm a little intimidated by how chunky it is. Oh yeah, okay, it's almost 500 pages. I don't know what I was thinking, but yeah, I love Chloe Gong. I usually listen to Chloe Gong on audio though, and there's no audiobook for this yet, so we'll see how that goes. And then that's it. That's 4 books. I was going to add another one, but that would be really silly to do to myself. I can't read 4 books in 4 days. I'm hoping this weekend to at least finish When the Moon Hits Your Eye and the Octavia Butler and make good progress on Katabasis and at least start this is my hope. So yeah, those are the plans. That's what we're gonna do. I hope that this is a entertaining vlog for you all. I hope that I am able to do some things to make my mental state a little bit better, but considering all the anxiety and stress is from outside sources that I have no control over, I don't know how that's gonna go. But you're here, so let's get going, I guess. I am home from work. It was a doozy today. Absolute doozy. The kids were on something. I don't know what. but they were on something both classes. But I survived and I am exhausted and also low-key feel like crying, but I think that might be the like low-grade depression I have right now and not necessarily my reaction to how work went, but who can say? Who can say? I really just want to kind of like rot and put on mind numbing stuff, but I know that will not make me feel better. I know I should go to the gym. I don't want to, but I know I should go. I know it would help, but I don't want to. So I am going to force myself to read because I think once I start reading, it'll feel good. But I haven't told you about when the moon hits your eye yet. So like I said earlier, this is science fiction, and the premise of this is that the moon has turned to cheese. And that's it. We don't really have a main character. Every chapter we're going somewhere else to see how the moon turning into cheese is affecting or being responded to by a different group of people. We started out at a Neil Armstrong museum where they had a chunk of moon rock, and that was kind of our first clue because that moon rock turned to cheese. They couldn't understand what was happening. And then we've been in a meeting at the White House where NASA scientists are talking to someone in an official capacity about what's going on. We've been with I know what this word is, a Sunday school teacher as she's talking to the pastor of her church and like the religious ramifications. We've been with a producer was she a producer? Like a Hollywood person going to meetings as all these people are pitching different ideas for TVs or movies inspired by the moon turning into cheese. We've been with some NASA scientists and astronauts who were supposed to do a lunar landing, and I really appreciate how scientific this has been so far, even though it's an absolutely absurd premise. I do like that John Scalzi gave this a lot of thought of like, okay, if the moon suddenly turned into cheese, like obviously cheese has a different density and a different volume than the rock and metal and what have you that makes up the real moon. So like how would that change its appearance? How would that change its diameter? And then what would start to happen to the moon if something that big was suddenly made of cheese? So I'm really enjoying this a lot more than I thought I would. I've only read John Scalzi's standalones. I loved the Kaiju Preservation Society, and then I liked Starter Villain, but Starter Villain for some reason was really hard for me to get into. So I think part of the reason I've been putting this one off for as long as I have is I thought that it would be challenging as well, but I really like how we're bouncing around. There's a little bit of a mixed media component because we got transcripts and interviews and news articles and stuff like that. And it's just kind of fun bopping around and seeing how the world is responding to such a monumental change. And it's a good, silly, goofy time with some like solid science behind it, which I love that. That's so fun. And it's making me wish I'd read more sci-fi this year. I haven't read very much sci-fi. For some reason, I guess maybe I just haven't had the right kind of sci-fi in my radar, I guess. Is that the word I want? Yeah, so I'm going to go read some more of this. It reads pretty quickly, so I'm hoping maybe I can get another 50 pages read here in the next little bit, and then I'll try to decide what to do. If I don't go to the gym today, I don't know what I'll do. I'll work out from home. So I'm going to read. I'll figure out what I'm doing from there. But let's start with those 50 pages and then see how it goes.
At 29 and I find myself wondering what did happen to the last 10. I ran away with my life, fast forward, never turn back again. It's kind of funny that the more we pass time, the more we need to set them rewind. And 19 was the year I had to leave you, but now I'm seeing all the signs. Is this?
Hello, it's the next day. I have been to work and I'm now home. I do have to go back to work later this afternoon, but then it's the weekend officially and I'm so excited. Classes did go much better today than they did yesterday so far. The kids were not as, reactionary today as they were yesterday, so appreciated that so much. But I did finish When the Moon Hits Your Eye. I had to go to work with like 30 pages left this morning. It was painful, like legitimately painful to have to put this book down and go to work with so few pages left. I loved this. I think this is my new favorite John Scalzi book. I love that we don't have a main character. We do get repeats of people, but never quite in the same way that we got them beforehand, but we do get to revisit a few different perspectives. But I just loved the grand scope of this book. I loved the ridiculous premise, but then how seriously Scalzi took the premise and just like followed it to its logical conclusions. I love that while obviously you can't use like hard science for this scenario, he tried to make it as realistic and believable as possible without being super specific. And I just loved the variety of perspectives we've got, of viewpoints, of people. There's a lot of diversity in the people that we jump around from. And I think he really got the human reaction to this event, especially as we got like towards the end of the book. I thought that was all really well done. I just think like this concept could be so bad in another writer's hands. Like the execution could be really crappy. And I love that Scalzi is talented enough to pull it off. And I don't know, I just love this whole idea. And yeah, I think I like this. I think I'm giving this 5 stars. And I haven't given a Scalzi a 5-star yet. I was sure I'd given Kaiju Preservation Society 5 stars, but I just double checked on Storygraph before I came to talk to you, and I gave it 4 stars. And while I really love Kaiju, it took me a minute to get into that book. It just took me a while to get used to Scalzi's writing, and this book I was in from the get-go. I just absolutely loved it. It was so good. I am glad I didn't listen to the audiobook. I had listened to the audiobook for Kaiju and for Starter Villain. Unfortunately, Scalzi's audiobooks are Audible exclusives, and so I don't use Audible anymore, and I don't want to. And I'm glad I didn't, because it has such a grand scope as far as cast and perspective goes. I think only listening to one narrator, because Will Wheaton does all of Scalzi's audiobooks, or majority of them. And so, yeah, I think just having one person's voice for all those perspectives would have made it a less enjoyable experience than me getting to mentally sub in voices for these characters. But yeah, I love this. I think this is good if you are like regularly read sci-fi and just want like, I don't know, something that's really different, I think. And that's a little bit funny, but also got stressful, like towards like the 3/4 mark. It was stressing me out. I was having a lot of anxiety, which wasn't helpful because I'm trying to decrease my anxiousness this weekend, and that didn't help, but it was stressful because it felt possible. It felt accurate of like, yes, this is how humanity collectively would respond to this situation. Yes. So stressful for that reason, but also I lost my train of thought. Oh, but if you are a regular sci-fi reader, I think you would really like this. And also, if you haven't read a ton of sci-fi and you get intimidated by sci-fi, I think this is also a good book to pick up, because there's not fast science. There's not hard science in this. There's not strict science in this. We're being, in John Scalzi's words from his acknowledgments, he's been real loosey-goosey with the science in this, and I think that makes it more accessible, and it's a really fun idea. So yeah, 5 stars, I guess. It feels, I can feel myself trying to talk me out of that rating, but I'm gonna go with my gut, and my gut says it was a 5-star, so yay. So, such a good feeling. It's been a long time since I've had a fiction 5-star. I'll have to go look. That wasn't a reread. I mean, I guess I gave Faithbreaker 5 stars, but that's part of the series, so I feel like it doesn't count. So yeah, oh, what a nice feeling to have right now. I love it. So now I've got to figure out what my next plan is. I know I should pick up Wild Seed. I know I should. I should do it. I should like make myself read it for 30 minutes just so that I get some forward momentum. I think I'm wanting to stall because the last Butler series I read was the Parable of the Sower books, or Parable of the Sower and the Parable of the Talent, and those are not good times. I mean, Octavia E. Butler, as far as I know so far, based on what I've read of her work, does not write a good time. So I'm not anticipating this to be a good time. It's also another science fiction, And so I don't know if reading 2 science fiction books in a row is a good idea, but I also think like these are going to be the most opposite reading experiences you could imagine, which within the same genre, right? It's not even a contest. They're going to be so different. They will not be comparable in any way, shape, or form. So I am going to I am going to sit down and I'm going to read 30 pages of this. I haven't read any more or listened to any more of Katabasis. I haven't had a lot of audiobook time. And honestly, I loved what I listened to so much that I already went and pre-ordered it, or not pre-ordered it, but I placed an order for it at my bookstore. And so it's there waiting for me, but I can't go get it until tomorrow. But I wanted to underline stuff while I was listening to the audiobook. And so I'm afraid to keep listening to the audiobook without the physical book because I'm afraid I won't remember. Like, I'll get too far into it to remember exactly which parts I wanted to underline. So I'll have to figure it out. But, yeah. Yesterday, you saw, I did end up going to the gym because I reminded myself that I was trying to not cure my depression, but make it better. And it did. It helped, which it always does, and it always makes me mad that it helps. Today, I'm not going to the gym. It's a stretching day. I need to stretch. And I need to work on my mobility because I'm 40 and suddenly my body, I'm 41. Never mind. I'm 41. And my body doesn't want to like bend the way it used to. Like my hips like are getting all janky. And look, there's a lot of things I incorporate into my fitness as a woman in her 40s that I didn't have to think about when I was in my 30s. And it's fine. It's fine. It's just more things think about. Anyways, I'm gonna go read. Okay, I am waiting to pick my youngest up from school. I read the full first chapter of Wild Seed, and I'm not in the mood to read that right now. It was a struggle, and I think the struggle was made worse / more apparent by just how easy it was to read when the moon hits your eye. And Wild Seed her writing isn't hard to understand. I mean, I'm a little confused with the world building, but there's just like, this is my 5th Octavia Butler book this year. Yes, this is my 5th. And you can tell she is a writer from another time. She is not a contemporary author by any means. Reading her sometimes really does feel like you're reading a classic. Like the ideas sometimes can feel really out of step. Sometimes I feel very prescient and futuristic, but there are always aspects of her books that feel very historical to me, in that the way, especially she talks about men and women and the way the relationships are between men and women in her books feels very of another time, and not in a way that I enjoy. Her relationships between men and women, like especially if they're supposed to be romantic or sexual, they often leave me feeling icky. And we started that book with an interaction between these two beings, a man and a woman, who have both been alive for a very, very, very long time, and both have some sort of magical ability, though we're not sure what that magic ability is, but they definitely want something from each other, and the man's wants quickly become sexual, and maybe there's arguably sexual, like he came into this interaction wanting that outcome, and it just is written, it's so skeezy. It's so gross. I don't like it, and that is not going to make this a good weekend, so I'm not going to read it right now. I have to finish it by the end of September, and it's currently the 19th, so I'll wait until Monday. I'll divide it up into like how I have to read this many pages in order to finish it by the end of the month, and I'll be a big girl and I'll do my homework starting on Monday. Before I got here to wait for my kiddo to get out of school, I swung by the library because I had to return a bunch of things. Sometimes we have like 50 things checked out from the library at a time between me and my 3 kids. And between 3 people, that's not a lot, but it feels like a lot. And I didn't take everything back, but I took a lot back. And then I also had a couple things on hold. Oh, I wonder. I just noticed there's bike marks in this book, and I don't want to get charged for that. So, dang it. I wish I noticed it before I checked it out. Oh, okay. There's note of it. Okay, good. Good. Anyways, I placed a hold on Mexican Gothic. This is for another vlog project, but this was the last book I needed for that. So I'm not going to start it this weekend, obviously, because, we're doing how to not be anxious, and I don't think this is going to help with that, so that will be for later. But my hold on the new Joanna Shoup came in, The Gilded Heiress, and one of my really good friends already read this, and she said it had Anastasia vibes, like the movie. And Joanna Shoup writes historical romance set in New York, so this could be fun. It's set in 1800s, so I might read this instead. I read the prologue, which was 2 pages, and then maybe half of the first chapter. And this is in first person. I have been out of reading romance for a while, I will admit. I took a number of years break. So I haven't read like a new release historical. Are they in first person now? Is that what we're doing? Has romantasy like bled over to where historical has to be in first person? I just associate historical romances with third person and contemporary romances with first person. I don't think I like historical in first person. I definitely didn't like the first half of that chapter of being in the hero's head and it being first person. I didn't like that. That was not for me. This is not the book for me to read right now. Ugh, cat hair in my mouth. So I don't have time really to start anything before I have to go teach my last class. I'm going to try Chloe Gong next. In navigating this reading slump / depression / whatever, I'm really trying to honor my instinct and gut response when I don't want to read something or I'm not interested in something. I'm trying to honor that and just be like, okay, that's not the book for right now. It doesn't mean it's a bad book. It doesn't mean it's bad writing. It's just not for me in this moment. I'm really trying to honor that. It's so hard, but I am trying to honor that. I would not watch a TV show that I was not interested in. I do not need to read a book that I am not interested in. I don't know why it's so much harder to do that in books than it is for me with TV shows or movies. I have no problem turning off a TV show or movie that I'm not interested in. I don't know why I struggle with it so much with books, but Gilded Heiress, I'm not saying I won't read it. I just not today. That's not what I want for my weekend. So, yeah, I think I think I'll try the Chloe Gong. Ooh, there is a very cool... Is this connected? Okay, I have to look. There's a map, which is kind of exciting. Usually we don't get maps in the beginning of arcs. Usually those are just for finished copies. But there's a place called Pyam right there, and I feel like that's the name of the city in Immortal Longings, but maybe I'm misremembering. I wonder if they're connected at all. That would be cool. Though I think this is young adult and Immortal Longings is adult, right? Because this is Margaret K. McElderry Books is the publisher, or Simon & Schuster is the publisher, but Margaret K. I should know how to say this. McElderry is their like teen imprint. Anyways, I'm going to have to go pull out Immortal Longings and see if that is actually the same city or if I'm just mixing it up with something else. I think it's even harder to pick up something new, having had such a good experience that now I'm like, okay, well the bar is up here, and if the things I'm picking up aren't matching, then why should I bother? Which honestly, maybe not the worst attitude to have when it comes to reading. Happy Saturday, friends! Last night I kept trying to read things and it wasn't working, and then I realized I was picking up science fiction unintentionally, and so I did a full pivot and I picked up a book that I did say I was gonna maybe read this month. One of the prompt cards I pulled for, what month are we in? September, was to read a book inspired by mythology, and I've had this on my TBR for a while. So I thought, why not now? So I finally picked up The Song of Achilles. It was like the 3rd or 4th thing I picked up last night. And it is the thing that has stuck. And so I'm like 50 pages in. I am enjoying it way more than I thought. I thought maybe that the writing was going to be denser, and it's not. It's really accessible. It's really easy to read. I assume everybody knows what this is because this has been around for so long. But if you don't, it's a retelling of the Achilles and Patroclus myth. And it's from Patroclus's point of view, and so inspired by Greek mythology. I have read Circe. I really liked it, but I read it years and years and years ago, and I've just never gotten around to the Song of Achilles. So that is going well so far, which I'm thrilled about. And then I have been cleaning this morning, so I've been listening to the audiobook for Katabasis by R.F. Kuang, and I'm loving it so much. I did not expect it to be as funny as it has been so far, and I've laughed at least once in every chapter, and I don't know if it's supposed to be funny, but I find parts of it funny. It's got such dry humor in certain places, and that's my favorite. So I'm really liking it. It's about these two, gosh, do I even know enough yet to get a synopsis? Maybe not. But it's about these two PhD students at Cambridge, and they're studying to be magicians. So it's like our world, but there's magic, which you know I love. And their academic advisor is killed or dies and goes to hell, and they are journeying through hell to retrieve him and bring him back. So our main characters are Alice and Peter, and they're kind of academic rivals. They don't get along really well, so they're kind of doing this reluctantly, but they have a shared common goal. It's really important for both of them to get this professor back. But I love that we started off like with the plot. Like there was no buildup, there was no like foreshadowing. The book starts and Alice and Peter are getting ready to go into hell, and I really like it. I think I could probably make this work for the mythology prompt card as well, since it's like the 9 circles of hell, which is also like mythology, just like Christian mythology. I think I'm gonna put Song of Achilles. If I finish it, I'll put that under that prompt card just because it's been on my TBR for so much longer than Katabasis has. And I'm definitely gonna go grab my copy of Katabasis from the bookstore today because I really, really like it. And I'm thrilled. I've only read one other R of Kuang. I read Babel. I loved Babel as well, but I've kind of been avoiding the Poppy War because I know that one is really grim, which is why I think I'm kind of surprised that Katabasis is so funny, because I know Poppy War is pretty dark and Babel was a very serious book. And I haven't read Yellowface yet, so maybe Yellowface is funny, but I don't know. I haven't read it. Absolutely delighted with how the reading is going this morning because I was a little stressed about it last night. Nothing that was on the stack that I meant to read this weekend, but that's okay. They'll still be there for me on Monday. I just wanna read the happy things this weekend. Okay. My battery for my camera needs a charge, and I need to go clean the kids' bathroom. And yeah, I'll come and update later this afternoon, I guess. But I'm so happy it's going well now. Hello, it's Sunday. One of my teens has a friend over, so I'm really like taking the cringe into my hands by updating you while there is another teenager in the house, but I live life on the edge. What can I say? I'm over halfway through Katabasis. So sorry to Song of Achilles. I will come back to you eventually, but this just has me in an absolute chokehold. I cannot put it down. I'm absolutely loving it. I'm just bouncing back and forth between the audiobook and the physical book. Sometimes I'm immersion reading, but more it's like I don't have the time to read physically right now, so I pop in the audiobook. Oh, I have time to sit down now. I take the audiobook out and I switch back to the physical, and I just love it so much. I think the thing is I really love Alice. And I just love her more. The more we learn about her, the more flawed she becomes, the more you see her mistakes and her foibles and her sins, for lack of a better word, the more I love her. But I don't think Alice is going to be for everybody. So I don't know that this book is going to be for everybody, because I can see how Alice would really get on people's nerves and be kind of unlikable. But I just love her. And I think I have a pretty good track record for really liking a lot of women characters that other people find annoying. So I just, yeah. Not that that says anything great about me. That just is how it works out a lot of the time, I find. But yeah, I'm loving this. I'm loving the descriptions of hell. I'm loving how we're learning more about Alice and Peter. I love how R.F. Kuang is just taking side swipes at academia every once in a while. We'll just be going along, going through hell, and then there'll just be like a random line that is just like side punching academia along the way. Anyways, it's great. I find this writing to be so different than Babel, and not in like a bad way or in a good way, like just in a very like enjoyable way. Like I love Babel too. Babel was a 5-star. I'm anticipating this is going to be a 5-star, but I think the writing in Babel is a little bit more literary leaning. It feels a little bit more lofty, I guess, and then this feels more contemporary, which I guess would make sense since Babel's historical fiction and then this is a contemporary setting. But I'm just absolutely loving it and kind of nervous for how these characters are going to get out of hell, or if they're going to get out of hell. It hasn't stayed funny. They're in much dire circumstances now, so there's fewer one-liners that I don't even know if they're supposed to be funny, but I found them funny. So it definitely is more serious, but I'm loving all the reveals. I'm loving what's happening. I'm loving the direction the story is going in. I'm loving watching Alice and Peter's relationship grow and change. And I like how we're finding out what their relationship was like before they got in hell, because they've known each other for a number of years. So I like the way that R.F. Kuang is showing us how they got to know each other. Okay, so I'm going to keep reading. I have like 200 pages left. Today was supposed to be the last day for this vlog. I don't know that I can read 200 pages today because it's already almost 3 o'clock. I don't even know that I necessarily want to read 200 pages today. I don't think I want to rush through the story that fast, but I do think I will keep this vlog going until tomorrow so that I can give you like a final update and a final rating, because I don't mind it when vlogs end and not every book has been finished. Like I don't mind waiting for a next vlog to find out what that person thought of the book they didn't finish, but I am also a completionist and I like finishing everything I'm reading in a video. So yeah, I think this vlog will go until tomorrow because I will definitely be finishing this tomorrow, and then I'll let you know what the final verdict is. Okay, I finished Katabasis, and it did not stay a 5-star the whole time. I'm so sad to say. I've been having this happen quite a bit recently, where a first half of a book will be 5 stars, and then something will happen in the second half, and it will just like snatch that 5-star right out from under me. And I'm not a fan. I would like the 5-star feeling to stay. Please and thank you. So something happens, no spoilers, but something happens, and it changes the main character's situation. I mean, she's still in hell, but it just goes in a different direction. I think you can see the part of R.F. Kuang's writing where she wrote like a military, grim, dark fantasy. I could see that. I couldn't see it when I read Babel, and I couldn't see it in the first half of this, but I could see it later in the book, just in the way the action was being written and in the, I don't want to call them fight scenes, but in the more like intense moments, I could see that side of fantasy in her writing. Oh, I gotta go get the cornbread out of the oven. Just hold that thought. Okay, so can I remember my train of thought? Circumstances change for Alice and Peter about halfway through, and I did not like the mental space that put Alice into as much as I liked her in the first half. I felt like she changed in a way that I didn't really enjoy, and I think the way she's changing is she's becoming more vulnerable. Like, she's unpacking a lot of like lies that she's been told about herself and about what she's capable of, and like I want her to do that, but I don't know. Is it weird that I say that I didn't like Alice as much when she was becoming more likable as I did when she was unlikable? So yeah, and I don't know. I can't really go into it because it's all like stuff that's right at the end, so it's a big old spoiler. But it just, I mean, I think it was inevitable, like it was a thing that I knew was gonna happen, but it got sentimental in a way that I wasn't prepared for, which is such a bummer. And I found my mind wandering more in the second half than in the first half, which was also like, I don't know what it was up with that. I don't know if it was just reading on a weekend versus reading on a weekday, like on a work day, but I don't know. So I'm going to give it a 4.5 because like for the most part, I really, really enjoyed this book and really loved the main characters and the journey they went on. I loved the descriptions of hell. I love the creatures that hell was populated with and how R.F. Kuang imagined everything. Like, truly, the things that I've just complained about were so minuscule in comparison to the overarching love of this, but to my detriment, I am an endings reader, and how I feel at the end of a book is largely the feeling that I will take away about the whole book, regardless of what the entire reading experience has been. I don't love that about myself. It's not my favorite thing, but it is the reality of how I am like as a reader. But I really like this a lot. Again, I don't think this book is going to be for everybody, but I think the people who it's for will really, really enjoy this. And I'm really glad that I read it, because I was debating not reading it because it was getting so much hype and because I am a contrary person to my core and don't like to do the things that everybody else is doing. But in this case, I'm really glad I did. So that's the end of this slightly extended weekend reading vlog. Thank you so much for joining me and spending your precious time with me. And I'm really happy with how my reading went. I mean, 2 books that I really, really liked, a 4.5 and a 5-star. That is not too shabby. I am very happy about that, and I hope I can continue that energy into this last week of September, though I don't think that's going to be the case, but that's okay. We'll do our best, or I'll do my best. If you want to leave an emoji to let me know you're here, let's do a moon emoji for when the moon hits your eye, which honestly, it feels like a million years ago when I read that, when it was only 3 or 4 days ago. Time has no meaning anymore. And dare I say, like if you liked it? No, I didn't. Like if you liked it, subscribe if you want to, and I'll talk to y'all in the next one. Bye!